Welcome to another episode of Chat GRC on the Blue-Lusional podcast. Might as well just say we're in midterms now because the voting is happening, the redistricting is happening. So let's get right to it. Ma'am, please tell us who you are and what you are running for.
I am Michaela Barnett. I am actually running in the longest held Republican district in the country. That is the rare distinction that I have. Do you know how long my district has been Republican? Do you want to guess?
Was it 20 something?
Okay, so you're thinking like 1920s? Case,
Yeah, I knew it was a really long time, and I can't tell you the year, but I literally looked at your website this morning, and I knew it was a really long time.
It's been Republican since the 1860s,
Yeah.
since Reconstruction. So that is the distinction I have. No, but I am running against Tim Burchett, who is the leading character on releasing the not Epstein files, the UFO files. He pretended to be a leader on the Epstein files and flip-flopped there. But he's the guy that's talking about UFOs all the time. And people in East Tennessee some folks really like his, folksy facade, but a lot of folks, they despise him. And so the only thing they need to hear about me is that I'm the candidate running to unseat him. And then I'm like, no, but I can do the job. I'm a small business owner. I have a PhD in civil engineering. I worked in Congress last year, but we are in the thick of it. I was just at Nashville last week protesting the redistricting. Candidates, we had to qualify back in March for the primaries.
Yeah.
And when the Supreme Court ruling came down, and can I swear on this podcast? I have a lot of choice words for Speaker Cameron Sexton of the Tennessee Assembly. But, they immediately called a special session. Governor Bill Lee called a special session, and they chopped Memphis up into districts. They have now chopped Nashville up into 5 districts. My district is one of 2 that did not change, actually. So there's 9 congressional districts. They didn't redraw 2 of ours. But people have until the 15th to qualify for the new congressional maps. And so you pull them now, and it is absolutely insane. People are, some of the sheets have to have a full sheet for everyone that has pulled a petition to get on the ballot. Democrat,
Do you have to re-get all the signatures?
Good question. And actually in Tennessee, the bar is ridiculously low. You only have to get 25 signatures, which
to qualify for a congressional candidate?
For Congress. It's crazy.
Wow.
No, actually, the Secretary of State's office called me. They sent a certified letter. They sent an email, and they were like, you can choose to stay in the district that you originally qualified for. Of course, mine changed, but everyone else got the same letter. Or you can send a notarized letter of your intention to change districts, and new people can pull a petition and get the 25 signatures. I think that we might have some folks pull a petition at the very last minute and submit it right before, but already the races are getting that much more contested. And it's a huge shit show. I mean, it has been a really hard week to be a Tennessee organizer, and being in Nashville and just the glee with which they did this was so disheartening.
Wasted no time.
No time, smiles on their face.
But they were so happy. Like, they were like mocking.
Oh, yes, literally in the chambers where they were smiling and laughing with the stupid ass MAGA cape.
Exactly. And anyway, so that is who I am. That's the context of what we are doing. I always say that Tennessee is the testing ground for the dissolution of democracy.
Yeah.
We are the testing ground for every single terrible policy they want to export to the rest of the country. You can see what they're doing in our assembly. And that is what is happening on the ground this week. So it's been a tough one.
Yes. It's crazy that this is the week we're interviewing you. Like, Devin and I were like, oh, here we go. We gotta wait to send our questions, because we need to see what happens in the next 24 hours and reframe our questions, because, everything happened in the last 48 hours is both appalling, shocking, but not shocking, unfortunately. And of course, in Tennessee. That's the not shocking part about it. And I hope that in this, a lot of people will be inspired to run for office and close up any loopholes that would allow this to happen in the future. But you were already running. So we want to know what inspired you to run and try to take down this administration.
Because I was already working to fight this administration.
Yeah.
I was working in Congress as a science policy fellow. So I am someone that really sees a problem and then just tries to peel the layers of the onion until I get to the core of it. And, I am someone that has been a problem solver as a scientist. I went back to school to get my PhD. My PhD is in civil engineering, but really I looked at the intersection of behavioral science and engineering and design. So you can think about how and why people behave and make decisions and how that interacts with the built environment. But really, what I'm interested in is how engineers and systems designers make decisions that impact all of us. And I tried to make change as a small business owner. I have a small business here in Knoxville. And through all of the different things I've done, I just kept saying, okay, this is good. This is a good change. Like as a scientist, you're studying a problem, you're proposing solutions. As a small business owner and entrepreneur, you are providing a market-based solution. But all of the things I care about need to be changed at the level of policy. And that's why I went to DC. I got a fellowship called the AAAS, American Academy for the Advancement of Sciences Science Technology Policy Fellowship. You can tell a scientist named that. That's way too long. AAAS, STPF. No, that's a crazy acronym. But the goal of that program is to get PhD level scientists into the federal policymaking process. So you understand how policymaking works for whatever you come back to, but also so that they can benefit from your expertise and we can work to solving society's problems. So I went to DC, I got placed in a House office, and this was before the 2024 election. And I'm like, oh, maybe we're going to get the House, maybe we're going to get the White House. We're going to be able to do all these good things on the problems that I care about. And a month after I joined my office, Donald Trump was reelected. And then, of course, 2 months later, he was inaugurated. And I covered 8 different policy portfolio areas for the member of Congress that I worked for. And being in Congress and then coming home every weekend to East Tennessee because my husband was still working and living here, and having folks say, okay, Michaela, but you're on the inside. Do the Democrats have some secret plan of resistance? Are they going to save us? And my answer is no. I want to put my head through the wall every single day. And that's not that I don't respect my boss and the work he has done for such a long time, many other members of Congress, but it is that there is a sense of we survived Trump's first term. We're going to survive this. We kind of need to wait it out. And I can't tell you how many sternly worded letters I contributed to as a staffer on the Hill.
Right.
And then you write or sign on to a letter to Kristi Noem being like, please stop doing what you're doing. It's illegal, immoral, and unconstitutional. And then 6 weeks later, you get a letter back saying, no, thanks, bye. And you're like,
no.
Really?
You're like, all right, let's cool it with the strongly worded letters.
This cannot be the solution. And here's the thing is that there are limitations to what you can do as the minority party. I am not suggesting that we defy the Constitution or that we go against ethics and what is standard. I am suggesting we maybe go against some norms, right, that are not laws that Republicans do. But
the loopholes.
Right.
That's what they do. They do the loophole.
Where is the Democratic Mitch McConnell? I'm asking.
Right.
Where is the Democrat that is pouring sand all up in those gears in a very obstructionist way? And there are some people trying to do that work. For me, both seeing that we are not going to get to a different future with a lot of status quo Democrats that are just trying to recreate what already exists instead of seeing how broken the system is, and getting text messages from people on the Hill every time Tim Burchett said something idiotic, which was like every day. I came home to Knoxville one weekend and I was talking with a friend and I said, I'm thinking about running. I know this is crazy. I know I'm a first-time candidate, but I'm thinking about running. And he was more involved with our local political parties. And he said, Michaela, I would campaign for you in a way I've never campaigned for anyone. And
Nice.
then, like, a week later, I sat down for a Zoom with some of our local party leaders with one of the biggest counties in my district, and I was thinking, "I'm gonna have to pitch myself," right?
Yeah.
We vet things, I don't know. I'm like, "I'm gonna pitch myself," and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, please do this. You don't have to, but we would love it if you did it." And really the rest has been history. We've been creating a beautiful and durable and forward-focused movement that is full of hope and joy and community.
Mm-hmm.
Each time they try and whack us down like whack-a-mole, we just pop right back up.
Yeah.
And we are 700 plus volunteers strong. We are regularly packing out events.
I love
And
it.
people in Tennessee are no strangers to disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
And people in East Tennessee have been doing this work for a long time. And our elders that have been engaged in the political movement for decades, they are tired, right?
Yeah.
The women in their 60s and 70s and 80s that are like, I fought so hard for your right to choose, or I couldn't get a bank account without my husband's signature.
Yeah.
They are really tired that they have to keep doing this work, but they keep doing it. And they're really glad that there are some folks of our generation stepping up to shoulder the burden with them.
See,
Yeah, they're tired.
they're tired. We're watching. Yeah, we've read Project 2025. If you haven't read it, I don't know what to tell you at this point. But this
It'll
was
let
the
you know what's
plan was
happening.
to. Yeah, I mean everything that's happening right now is in chronological order laid out, and the longer that they have a majority, the more they're going to be able to accomplish. So, I mean, Michaela, your point in saying like, oh, we survived the first, a lot of people think we'll survive it again, but this time is obviously drastically different. This administration, not only the president, but the entire cabinet is filled with some of the most evil human beings we have ever seen in this lifetime. And their allies are the Benjamin Netanyahus, people committing genocides. And, this election cycle is the most important if we are going to make him a lame duck president for the rest of the time he is either alive or in the seat. So many people are running for the first time. So many people ran like years and years ago and then were like, now I'm going to run again. So it's so interesting to just hear everybody's story as to what got them to run, because it all comes down to the same thing. It's the I can't sit and watch anymore and hope that other members of Congress step up to the plate. We need something different.
It's absolutely critical. I mean, answering the phones in Congress, which is usually the job of interns, but our phone lines were blowing up so much because every single day, I mean, Signal, that feels like 25 years ago, right? But every single day, something different would happen, or Elon Musk would
Sorry, it was
take
us telling everybody to call.
Right.
And people would call and they would say, someone should do something. And my answer to that is, yeah, babe. And that someone is you and that someone is me. Yes, someone should do something. And our members of Congress should be doing more.
Yes.
And the way we got to where we are is because too many of us were on autopilot. And that's not blaming
Guilty.
That's not like our system makes it so hard to just survive. Devin, you were just talking about your kids, right? Like, and there are so many competing priorities, and yet democracy is not self-sustaining. It requires all of us to step up and be engaged citizens.
It's a verb. You gotta do it.
You gotta do it.
You gotta do the democracy.
Yeah, you gotta learn about it, unfortunately.
Speaking of, I keep saying it, nobody knows how anything works. I have a video planned for tomorrow where I plan on yelling at people. Again, so please tell people what a member of Congress does and how you can use the influence on the local level, because they don't know.
They don't know. And I think people in my congressional district don't know even more because our member of Congress is very lazy and spends all of his time on Twitter.
Like, what he should be doing is what
and on podcasts, which not disparaging podcasts, but if you're a member of Congress
and you're not doing your job,
I don't want you to be spending 4 hours a day podcasting. You actually are here because this is our mechanism of one of our mechanisms of making change. You have other mechanisms, sir.
They're content creators.
And there's one thing to share information with your constituents, which I think is very powerful, but I do not want my member of Congress's advocacy to begin and end on a keyboard, right?
Yeah.
And so when we think about what a member of Congress does, I'm like, how in the weeds do we want to go? Are we doing Civics 101, 201, 301, 401?
We honestly need to do 101.
As a member of the House of Representatives, I will be one person in a 435 member body. Now,
435, guys. That's how many.
Congress is bicameral, right? So you've got the House and the Senate. So I tell people I'm running for Congress. A lot of times we just mean House of Representatives. It's not true, right? Congress is both bodies. It's bicameral.
They don't know that either.
There's, of course, 100 senators. So it is hard to make change in Congress, of course. And that's why we need a whole generation of leaders that are going to stand up to leadership to actually get things done that the American people want, a lot of which is focused back on reforms to Congress. You get placed on committees, and committees are where you take first look at legislation, right? We've all seen the, I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill animation. Maybe that's a good one to drop here as an explanation of how that happens. But as a member of Congress, it is your job with your team to write legislation that impacts the people of your district. It is your job to advocate to bring federal dollars home through the appropriations process and through, other mechanisms working with federal agencies. It is also your job to provide constituent services. So you are helping your constituents navigate federal agencies, and you are helping them when they can't get an answer from the IRS. And your job as a member of Congress is also oversight of the executive branch.
Yeah.
Seen this administration and this Congress. Let's start with this Congress. We have seen this Congress cede all of its constitutional authority to the executive branch. Congress's job is to set the budget, right? Congress holds the power of the purse. You're supposed to decide what the budget is, what you're spending it on, right? That's Congress's job. It is the executive that brings a budget, right, that then gets negotiated. All of these things happen through a very lengthy appropriations process. There's 12 appropriations committees. You go through a process of reconciliation. We're getting into 401 territory. We go too crazy there. But Congress's job is also oversight of the executive branch. So when I was working in Congress, one of the areas that I covered was the immigration portfolio. And so what I would be doing when constituents would call and they would describe, being taken by ICE or have a member in DHS custody, it was my job to do investigation and my role of oversight over the Department of Homeland Security and say, as a member of this congressional office, sorry, I'm going to close that tab. As a member of this congressional office and someone that is representing this congressman's constituents, I need you to answer these questions for me, and we need to have access to this facility to do visits. And the executive branch is not playing ball, right? They're not letting Congress, Democratic members of Congress, to do their constitutional authority. So when I talk about priorities, when I get to Congress, one of the first things I talk about is we have to take Congress's authority back. We have to take back its constitutional mandate, and we have to tamp back on executive overreach. And inevitably, you have someone that maybe is a little more civics minded, and they say, Michaela, how the hell are we going to do that when we have a president who does not care about the rule of law? He does not care about the Constitution. He does not care about Congress. So what is the strategy? Even if Democrats are in the majority, can we actually tamp this man back at all? And for me, the strategy, of course, it's very different if you're in the majority versus the minority party. If I'm elected to Congress, Democrats are going to be in the majority, right? When I'm elected to Congress. And so, yes, Trump is probably not going to listen to Congress, but we need to remind every single member of his administration that they will be held accountable for disregarding the rule and law of our country. And we need to be calling them in and making them testify under oath and holding them in contempt when they do not do it. And we need to use every single legislative tool at our disposal to build a case for when this president is no longer in power and we are able to hold others accountable. When I talk with folks, right, I'm in a red district. I am not running in spite of my Republican constituents. I am actually running a race that is bringing a lot of them into the fold, focused on some of the 80-20 issues, right? That doesn't mean that I'm not a progressive. That doesn't mean I'm not going to advocate for change. And something that makes people nervous when I talk about the broad coalition we are building is, does that mean you're not going to hold people accountable? No. I think that is one of Joe Biden's biggest mistakes, is that he did not hold the previous administration accountable. And he said, we're just going to look forward. We're not looking back. And what this is not just a problem that starts and ends with Donald Trump. This is a problem that people in power with wealth in our country are held to different standards and our laws are not applied to them. And if we are going to have a functioning country going forward, that has to stop. That has to stop.
Let's go.
Accountability. Yes. Accountability is the reason we got here, and it's going to be the reason we get out of here. It's
exactly
where it is right now.
It's coming.
It's coming.
If we elect enough folks that aren't funded by corporate PACs that are willing to go up and form coalitions together to actually deliver on what the majority of the American people want, which is a branch of government that exists to serve us, not just the wealthy and well-connected, and not just members of Congress, right?
Yes.
I see why you got so many volunteers.
Yes. Right? I'm like, I volunteer.
You can fund for me virtually.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. Yes. But so you're in Tennessee and you are, we like to say, your boots on the ground. You're here. Your current representative is not. They're frolicking around DC on podcasts. So you're talking to people on both sides of the aisle, Republicans, Democrats, independents, all different walks of life. Can you let us know how people are taking back power in Tennessee? And we're watching it this week. So, it's a big, broad spectrum. How are people
happening in Tennessee this week?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the doors and we'll talk about taking back power and what I'm actually hearing when I talk with folks across the spectrum.
Let us know.
But of course, all of the members of the Tennessee, all Democratic members of the Tennessee Assembly were kicked off of their committee assignments. I was talking with my husband about this before getting on the podcast, and he said, how can they do that? I said, that's a great question. They can do it because they believe themselves to be authoritarians, and they're going to keep doing it until they're stopped, right? Yep. They're trying to punish them for protesting the redistricting. What a bunch of to call them babies is an insult to babies, right? Babies. Everything I could think of to call them, I'm like, well, that's an insult.
Good. Yeah, it's not
whatever other.
But we're the snowflakes
talking about. But people, I have felt their tiredness this week. In Knox County, so in Tennessee, we just had our local primaries last week. So not our statewide and federal primaries. Those are August 6th, but the local level and municipal level. And the extremist MAGA candidate won the Republican primary for mayor in Knox County, which is the biggest part of my district. There were 2 moderate Republicans that split the vote, and a lot of other extremist Republicans won their primaries. And then we have all of this. So people are they are tired, but they're not giving up, and they're also being asked how they can help. Now, I need to get about 150,000 people to the polls on November 3rd. I'm uncontested in my primary right now, but again, there's a new qualifying deadline.
I know, yeah, somebody could pop up.
We're going to see, touch wood. But, last night we launched our relational organizing program, which is people talking to the people they already know, not just phone banking and text banking and door knocking. We call it friend banking, right?
Banking.
And we're
I
using
like
the
that.
same tool that actually, helped defeat Elon Musk when he tried to buy that Wisconsin Supreme Court seat. And so we launched that program, and we're really asking folks to kind of participate in what my team and I jokingly call Michaela level marketing,
Your
which
ML.
we're
That's
doing
good.
out. But let me tell you, 2 weeks ago, several local bands put on a benefit concert for the campaign that was just a huge celebration of joy and resistance and community. Have people that are retiring that are saying, now I can volunteer 40 hours a week on your campaign, right? People are showing up in the most wonderful and unexpected ways. I just did a long form interview yesterday with someone that we'll put out at some point, and there could be cost to them for supporting my campaign and speaking out, and people are showing up to do it anyway. And I know right now it feels like we are so divided because, we just described the fascist takeover of my state, right?
Yeah.
It feels divided because we are divided in a lot of
Yeah.
ways with our leadership. But when I'm at people's doors and I'm talking with independents or probably more moderate Republicans, like not MAGA Republicans, right? And people on the left that also feel politically homeless. This has kind of been surprising to me, but they want leaders that will work across the aisle to get things done. They want bipartisanship.
Yeah.
And right now we do not have bipartisanship in DC. And for me, that's really clear that for the 80-20 issues, not the ones that we're always going to disagree on, but for the 80-20 issues, I have a bit of a mandate from people in my district, which is that I'm going to work with anyone to get those things done. And they're talking at almost every single door. People are talking about healthcare, right? That's like one of the biggest symbols for how broken our system is healthcare, especially here in East Tennessee. People have a sense that they want grown-ups in charge. They want to be able to feel like the person in DC has their best interests at heart and that they don't have to have a jump scare every single time their phone beeps, right? And I think that has been encouraging to me. There's a few folks, very small percentage that will say, far left issues. How are you on, surgery for kids and men and women's sports? And that is that might be what you expect if you're going and talking to a lot of Republicans in East Tennessee, but that is the vast minority. The majority of people are like, I work in healthcare and the system is fucked. Or I used to work for the insurance companies and the system, right? Or I'm a patient that can't get care, or I'm a doctor, or, people are talking about what we're actually experiencing here on the ground.
Yes.
And that gives me hope for the sort of coalitions we could build.
Yeah. I think
That's the whole
people,
point.
we're obviously pretty much all chronically online. And I think, we've been yelling at people for a long time saying half of the people online are bots. They're not real people. They're not going to show up to the polls and vote, but they are going to push these bots to spread this crazy propaganda saying that this candidate wants surgeries for 12-year-olds. And they want, almost all of these are bots. They are not people who are real people showing up to the polls in November. And so whenever we talk to candidates, when we're like, what are the Republicans saying when you go out and talk to them? And they're like, they just want to have their Social Security. They just want to be able to afford food and gas. But they are, they're still kind of brainwashed thinking that Democrats are the ones who raise the prices, not Republicans. And very rarely do they say anything super out of pocket like men and women's sports,
It just shows their minority is the loudest.
That's right. They want their kids to be able to move out of their house one day, right? And not live with them
Yeah.
It's like my son to move out of the basement at some
Yes,
point.
but it is, and it's really hard to remember that, but
Mhm.
we have
Yeah.
to, and sometimes getting off of the online spaces and into the IRL spaces and
Yes.
hitting
Yeah.
the doors and having the conversations is the way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we were talking a bit earlier about everybody getting removed from their committees. So how are you and other candidates that are outside of the districts that got chopped up, how are you guys like pushing back and, giving support to everybody else that's been affected?
So there's only 2 districts that have not
Mhm.
been affected, and I'm the only one that does not have a primary challenger. So I'm gonna be
Mhm.
honest that things are a little bit messy here in Tennessee right now. I put together a signal chat for all the candidates to join so we could be talking and
Nice.
collaborating around the redistricting. Of course, a lot of them are in
Nice.
primaries against each other. Can be
Ugh.
I mean, it's just the process, right? But
It is what
a lot
yeah.
of other names are jumping into the races. There are some candidates that are on a lawsuit with our state
Yeah.
party and others that
Mhm.
aren't, and it's not clear how that happened. And so
Yeah.
before redistricting happened, I had talked to candidates and said, okay, if we're county swapping, I will send your materials to the people that were in my counties. I've got all
Nice.
the
Yeah.
I had reached out to Vote Builder, which is a tool that most Democratic candidates use. It's a voter database tool. And I had reached out to them. I'd had my team reach out and say, if redistricting happens, how quickly do the lines change? And also, legally, can we share information with other campaigns? Because there's compliance issues. And so we had kind of done that conversation. Now, since my district didn't change, I didn't have the opportunity to be like, okay, my Loudoun County folks, I'm going to like send text on your behalf for them and we can do a
Mhm.
yard sign swap. My team and I were thinking about all the ways to do this. But I think right now, of course, the TNDP is trying to figure out how they could carve back some of these seats.
Mhm.
And what that means is that there is going to be a calculus that not everyone's going to agree with. And it is some of the same challenges that we've had with the DNC, where we feel like candidates are being picked for us instead of going through
Yep.
the process.
Mhm.
Mm.
And it also means that, something that I struggle with being an organizer in the South and in a red district in the South at a national level with the party is that, every cycle feels very short sighted where you pick a few flippable races and you invest all your time and energy
Yep.
there instead of building long term infrastructure in communities like mine so they could be flippable in the
Exactly.
future. And it has been I honestly have just kind of been sending good vibes to everyone and saying, I'm sorry this happened. Hope everyone's doing okay. If there's any
Yeah.
updates, let me know.
Yeah.
But I hope that we are able to focus on moving forward and not have petty infighting. And unfortunately,
Right.
sometimes that is what happens in politics. I'm learning. I'm someone that is typically low drama. And my God, I
There's just
see
this
why this
yeah. It's
chews
this
candidates up and spits them out.
the stakes are just so high and there's so many
Yeah.
emotions and we're so close. I mean, think about it. I mean, you don't have anybody going up against you in the primary, but with a primary being a couple months away and then your district just being decimated in
Exactly.
front of you and you wish you could be everywhere at once,
Yeah. And
I
you will need resources
yeah,
voter data costs money and reaching new voters costs money. And if you've
Mhm.
been running for a year or 2 years or 6 months or 4 months, you've been knocking on doors of voters that no longer are yours.
yours.
Mhm.
And what I
It's
told
defeating.
it's really hard. What I told everyone in all my counties, because several of the maps that were being circulated prior to the redistricting did have my districts being redrawn. And that was really like I would be heartbroken to lose any county in my district and the relationships that we have built. And I told all of them, right, my commitment to you doesn't change. The people of
Mhm.
East Tennessee, you're still with me. And for all of the candidates that have been running this race for a long time whose districts did get carved up in this blatant power grab intended to disenfranchise Black voters in Memphis above all. They make the mountain steeper every single day, and we keep having to convince people to climb it alongside us and help push us up the mountain and give us snacks and water along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, that's what we mean with the accountability and why it's going to be so important, because what happened this week in Memphis should never be able to happen again if we win back the House and the Senate and people show up at their local elections.
And we pass a nationwide ban on partisan gerrymandering.
It has to stop.
It has to happen.
It has to happen.
Has to.
We do need fairness, right? We there's
ungerrymander all the gerrymanders and then pass it.
No, that's what I mean, though. That's what I mean. Nationwide ban on partisan gerrymandering.
Yep.
I also would love to see proportional representation that breaks us out of the two-party duopoly. A girl can dream, but I got some long ideas for the future and some short. We got long-term ideas and a plan.
Right.
That's the layup after.
Term. That is the work of a good member of Congress. You got to be doing some systems thinking, and you got to be doing some planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I run into people say, "Well, we need a new two-party system," I'm like, "Well, you're not going to get that now,
not right now,
and
because it's in November,
and you're not going to get it by voting for independence right now." I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, because not enough people are voting.
Not enough people are familiar with them. Like, sorry, and
there are independent candidates in my race. And some of them, I've talked to and they were like, I'm going to try and break away like Republican voters. And I'm like, but you're running on a similar platform to me. So why would someone vote for, why would a Republican vote for you versus vote for me? You're just going to pick up some independents that I need to win to break us out of this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But again, it's not my place to tell anyone to run or not run.
Right.
This is our system. And everyone in this time of chaos and cruelty, that people are trying to step up and make change.
Yes. I think people are trying to play the moral side of politics right now. And I think all of us understand, and people that are on the far left side that don't agree with the Democratic Party right now and don't like the two-party system, that we're all on the same boat here. We all want accountability on all sides, and we want a better path going forward. But I think we all have to agree that there was start having these conversations, and it'd actually be a table for everybody to sit at to start doing that. And that table was blown up. The table doesn't exist anymore, and it's never going to exist until we slowly work our way back to where we should have been in 2024. So voting independent and running as the Green Party, for governor in California, we're pushing back against the system. They're not going to get you into the seat right now.
Can I confess something?
Yes.
I voted for Jill Stein in 2012.
In 2012?
Okay.
2012. Yeah.
Okay.
No, don't worry, Devin. Not like this isn't recent history. Yeah, in 2012, when I was in college, one of my friends voted for Obama, and one of my friends voted for Mitt Romney, and we were all like, "We're America." And the logic was that I was voting from a red state, and I was like, you do the math in an electoral college politics, and I was like, if I want this party to get more funding, I'll vote for them, so that that's how that works. If I had been the swing state, of course. I know. Of course, anyways, but
the world was so different back then too.
The world was different. But I grew up in a super Republican family. I've been to Tea Party rallies as a kid. It's an interesting journey and transition, but we have to have all hands on deck. And I'm talking about the steep climb that we have, but I think what's really important to understand about what's happening in Tennessee right now and across the country, but they are changing the structural rules to maintain power, but they are also playing a psychological game.
Yes.
And I a lot of my work has been in environmental sustainability. I actually was writing about this today for something I'm going to share with my campaign. But in the last decade or so, fossil fuel companies and their lobbyists, they change strategies from climate denial, which is this idea that climate change is not happening because we could see it and feel it and see the impacts of it, to climate doomerism, which is it is happening, but it's so far gone, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And these are very different strategies, but they have the same end result, which is they take people out of the fight. One way because you don't believe it's a fight, and the other way because you think there's nothing you can do. And this is exactly what they are doing right now. You guys talked about Project 2025 at the start.
Yeah.
We all were sounding the alarms, and everyone said, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And now we can see, especially in my state, where they have just taken the minority parties' committees assignments away, which is where, you know, in the U.S. Congress, I think it's 3% of introduced bills become law. Almost all bills die in committee. This is where a lot of the work of legislating happens. Also at the state level, this is where you make amendments. This is where you shape the things that the rest of your colleagues are going to vote on the floor. We have gone from authoritarianism is not going to happen in our country. It is happening, but there's nothing you can do about it. And
we're cooked.
I will tell you that I refuse to let their psychological mind tricks work on me. And I am too damn stubborn to stop fighting. And I hope that we can take Hungary's lesson, but 16 years earlier, where we say, okay, we're going to have 80% voter turnout.
Thank you.
Midterms. Because Tim Burchett, my opponent, the last midterm election, we had 42% turnout in my district. Yeah, 70% of the 42% that turned out voted for my opponent. But that means that it's like a quarter of registered voters in my district sent Tim Burchett to Congress. A quarter. And that's not taking into account people that could be registered that aren't. They will have succeeded if they convince us of the lie that we do not have power. And if you look at every single fight we are doing, they are trying to convince us that we are alone and we are powerless. And the truth is that we are more powerful than any of us can imagine. And that is why they are doing all of this shit. It's 9 o'clock and steamed. I'm not going to be able to sleep.
I'm ready to run through a brick wall right now. God.
Let's fucking go.
Saying it. We're like, you know, we're not saying any of this you shouldn't pay attention to. We're not saying that you shouldn't wake up every day just infuriated by gerrymandering and districts being wiped away and representation being wiped away for minority groups. But we're telling you that this only works if you let it work. So for gerrymandering, they could gerrymander every district red. It only works if Republicans show up and vote. That's the way it works, and Democrats don't.
And we don't.
Yes, that is the only way it works.
It's been the plan for 20 years, right? Republicans have been doing this work in Tennessee for the last 20 years. They have been laying the foundation. They have been building the infrastructure so that when they got the majority in 2011 or 2012, I can't remember right now because it's been a 9 or 12-hour day, right? They redrew the maps to maintain their supermajority status. They have been investing in our county part. They've been doing all of this work that we haven't been doing in communities like mine because we've been focused on a few swing states and maintaining power there. And it's really hard because we need to remind folks of the urgency of this moment while also building infrastructure for the future. And we have to do both of those things simultaneously. And that is how we're going to get through this. My campaign, I am running to flip this seat. I am also running to build infrastructure for the future so that the 700 volunteers I have right now, and hopefully the 2,000 I'll have by election day, that come November 3rd, the next day they aren't just, wandering, saying, we did it, we're done. It's how do we mobilize those people for the next fight? Because things can always be better than they are right now. They will only be better if we're doing them in community and we're tied into the needs of our communities. So I'm excited to build the infrastructure too.
Yeah. And you have the experience. I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, so this leads perfectly into the next question. You have experience working for a member of Congress and being in DC. And so how are you going to use that work and that experience and bring it back to DC into this role?
Ooh, I already know which staffers I'm going to poach. No, I joked with my former boss and he was like, you can't take my whole team. You can just take some. And I said, deal. But there's several members, teams that are doing really exciting work that I cannot wait to just let them loose.
Yes.
And, and I think that part of it is a huge advantage to knowing how it works. And I think the other part is because I haven't been entrenched in that system for such a long time, I also have an idea of how it could work.
Mm-hmm.
So Tennessee 9, what was previously Tennessee 9, which is now just blown to smithereens across the map of Tennessee. That race was previously had a lot of attention on it because Justin Pearson is primarying Steve Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Cohen, our only Democratic member of Congress in Tennessee. And Steve Cohen did a podcast months ago, and he basically was talking about how, he was kind of going to select his successor, which I was like, that's not really how
this works.
But the other thing that he said, which I found so telling, is he said, don't you want someone with seniority who, when I'm elected, I will either be the ranking member or the chair of my committee. And when I was a freshman legislator on the Hill, I had good ideas, but the chair and ranking member would take my ideas and they would pass them on their own. And don't you want someone who has power? And I was thinking about that, and I just thought that my conclusion from that, if I'm in a position of power, is how do I help freshmen and sophomore legislators take their idea to the finish line? Not how do I position myself as someone that should be reelected because I will have power to take good ideas from new people coming in through the ranks.
I can colonize ideas. Why wouldn't you want to vote for that?
Actually, the Republican Party does a much better job of moving people up quickly through the ranks in DC. And the Democratic Party is all about hierarchy and seniority and process and all of these things. It's very stagnant. It's very stagnant. And I think term limits will help with that too, honestly.
Yes.
We can talk more about that. What I am communicating is that the fact that I have experience there on what works and what doesn't is really helpful, but also the fact that I'm not a career politician and I can come in and be like, this doesn't really make sense the way we're doing this. Actually, there are ways that we could all be working together much more effectively. I think will also be a superpower of mine on the Hill.
Yeah. That's all we need. We just need
I can't wait.
I can't wait to get some of these people.
What are your top 3?
Government reform. And what does that mean, right? But we simply cannot solve all of our other problems unless we fix what is wrong with our government.
Thank you.
Yes.
We need to ban members of Congress from trading stocks. We need term limits. We need legislation that undoes the impact of Citizens United. We need term limits, code of ethics for the Supreme Court, and partisan gerrymandering, and we need to ban members of Congress and maybe their staff from lobbying after they've finished their time in Congress. Number 2, the issue that I am hearing all over my district is healthcare, right? Yeah, it's going to take some time to work towards a guaranteed universal basic healthcare system where
thank you.
Insurance, but we can do things in the short term to make healthcare more accessible and more affordable for the people of East Tennessee. We can empower Medicare and Medicaid to negotiate drug prices. We can cap the price of more life-saving drugs. We could change reimbursement rates for providers in rural areas. We can take away the Medicaid cap on federally funded residents. There are things we can do in the short term to help solve this problem. The third thing that is absolutely critical for East Tennessee is our infrastructure. We were talking about political infrastructure. Now I'm talking about physical infrastructure. We are one of the fastest growing communities in the country.
Yes.
Our roads are feeling it, right? You're driving down and it is pothole city. Our bridges are struggling. We need to build and rehab and remodel so many of our schools, our wastewater facilities, our grid, not keeping up. We have $7 billion of infrastructure needs in my district. 2/3 of infrastructure needs identified across the state do not have a funding source. I need to be working really hard to be bringing federal infrastructure dollars back to Tennessee too, because we got to build. We got to build. And then the last thing, and it's not the last thing, because my team had to make me stop writing policies at a certain point. They were like, Michaela, no, stop. There's a lot on the website.
Explaining too well.
The last thing is we need an economy that works for the working class, right? Like, in East Tennessee, we need an economy that works for the working class. People here are being priced out of their communities because the price of housing is increasing so quickly, but our wages are not keeping up.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to bring prices back down after they've increased. Like, then an easier lever is bringing wages up to meet them. That's simply not happening in Knoxville and East Tennessee, and people are having to move away to find opportunity. But at the same time that we need to build a lot of infrastructure, there's an opportunity to bring high-paying jobs and invest in trades in our district.
Right.
And I'm really excited about all the work we could do so people from East Tennessee don't have to move away to find opportunities elsewhere.
Exactly. These are all points that we're just screaming about because we're like, everybody wants universal health care. That's fine and dandy. That's not something you can, Congress is going to wave a magic wand day one, January of 2027 and have done immediately. And I think a lot of people have built this up in their mind that you guys are going to do that day one or find a way to do that. And then everybody's going to get impeached and fired day two. And everybody's going to have their trial.
The Senate too. And we primary a lot of Dems that aren't doing the work.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the limit to what we accomplish is in y'all's hands, I will say, and the voters and the candidates you elect.
Yes.
It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
We could get stuff done a little more quickly. I mean, Congress by nature is supposed to be slow. That is like, it's designed to move slowly, but right now our problems are moving so quickly that we need to speed up our solutions a little bit more.
Yeah. And so, people need to hear the more realistic plan of, these are quick fixes we can make right now to healthcare that will ease that burden a little bit while we all sit together and work towards the bigger plan, which is a universal healthcare that is affordable for everyone, for Congress, for term limits, things we can do. But overall, we need to address how 2025, 2028 happened and how that's never going to happen again. So the realistic side of it is there's not overnight and it's going to take some time. It's good to hear that you already have plans on how we're slowly going to get there, and hopefully those can go faster, depending, like you said, on how everybody votes in November. If you go and vote with your brains in November.
Yeah, short, mid, and long-term plans. And
yes.
that is something I cannot say for my opponent.
A through Z.
Yeah.
But in order for that to happen, people have to go out and vote, which is the hardest part for Democrats, unfortunately, is voting in midterms. So we are asking everyone what you would say to a constituent who is feeling like the system's kind of set up to be corrupt and that their vote doesn't matter.
You're right on the first part, and you deciding to sit out on the second part is what makes it so.
Point blank.
That's it.
We have the League of Women Voters goes to high schools in my area, and they register high school seniors to vote. And they told me that one of the most effective ways they have to get kids to actually register is by pointing at their silver hair and saying, that's fine. You don't have to register to vote. I'll make all the choices for you. And if you don't participate, you don't get to complain. I mean, the system is broken, but how are we going to fix it unless you do something about it?
It's different right now.
We can't fix a broken system if you guys don't go out and vote for people who want to fix it.
90
even,
million.
Michaela, what you said the last election, that would you say it was like 40% of the district voted?
About 42%. Yeah. In the last midterms, of course, we always have higher presidential year turnout.
Yeah.
But Tennessee has the lowest voter turnout in the country, both because of people that feel the system is rigged and also because of disenfranchisement, gerrymandering, lots of other things.
So, that's the crazy part. And even this year, we're looking at exit polls from recent primaries and special elections, and it's still, without a doubt, the party that is not showing up and voting is Democrats. Republicans have a much better turnout, and we are still seeing some blue sweeps, even with a higher Republican turnout. So
In Florida.
Imagine that across the board. Imagine that in Tennessee, even with gerrymandering, like I said. If the Dems show up in record numbers, then their gerrymandering tactic wouldn't work.
Well, and here's the thing is that they redrew everyone's map to actually have numbers similar to the map that I'm working with. And I can flip my district. I can. I've done the math. We have the plan to do it. I can share some tips and tricks with them, but their numbers look more similar to Tennessee too now. So there is a path forward here.
I just gotta vote, please.
Okay. Oof. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. All right. I'm curious, who would be your dream VP?
Oh, dream VP. I was like, are you gonna ask me for a speaker pick? Because I don't freaking know. I don't know who my speaker pick is. I don't want to be president. So, like, are you asking me who, like,
but like, hypothetically,
hypothetically, if it was dropped in your lap,
if they were like, gun to your head, you have to be president.
Partner in crime politically.
In my head, I have to be president. Do I have to take into account electability? Do I need an old white man to be my VP?
No, absolutely not.
Say that, yes, it's your pick.
I am totally kidding. No. I think I'm like I'm so focused locally, but B, like when we think about 2028 and everything that's being thrown around, I'm envious all the time of our neighbors to the north, Kentucky, because of Andy Beshear and the fact that he has been able to represent a very similar state to mine and deliver for them. They got Medicaid expansion. He's not doing it by demonizing minority groups either. Like it's not like he's like throwing trans kids under the bus, right? He's like still protecting them too. So
he's progressive.
Maybe Andy. I met his dad last fall, and his dad was so sweet. He introduces himself because he was the governor of Kentucky before. He said, but I just introduced myself as Andy's dad. And I'm like, Governor Beshear, like you were a governor. What are you talking about?
He's like, but I'm just Andy's dad.
He's sort of a Nepo baby, so I don't know. But I mean,
I fuck with Andy.
Also, you got to think about like what a VEP does, all those different things. But, I really want to be in the legislative branch. I really want to be crafting and enacting the laws that can determine the next 250 years of our country.
Right?
Yeah.
Like who wants to be president?
Nobody.
Narcissists.
There we go. That's why so many old white men end up in office.
Yeah.
Like even Barack Obama was like, if I could do more terms, you would never see me do that. Like you would never see me back here.
That man was pounding the cigs.
Yeah,
he was pounding cigs.
He aged like that was probably the most crazy aging.
I think I have probably aged in the last 7 months more than I have many years.
Yeah, I got
the gray hairs.
It's getting bad over here.
My gray hairs. You can't really see them on here.
All silver. Look at that. I'm like, it's
grayed out.
And we're not even running a campaign.
We're not even that old.
It's a lot, y'all. But it's okay because
we're just in our 30s.
Me too. Yeah, I know, but it's good work that needs doing. And I'm lucky enough to have a spouse that is supporting our household this year, so I can do it. The system is rigged so that working class people can't do this. And I'm like really grateful that he is able to support us this year, and also is fine with me doing podcasts at 9:15 at night after having worked all day, right? And so it's hard. And some days I think to myself, would I sign up for this again if I knew everything this entailed? But the answer most of the time is absolutely yes.
Yeah. It's obviously going to be very rewarding in the long run. So I think that's what gets people to hold on. But I do love that with the rise of grassroots candidates that more is coming to light on just how hard it is to run. People think it's like you just show up at a couple events, you put some yard signs out. People really don't understand because the Nepo babies of politics have made it look so easy because they have money to have other people do everything for them. And so when you have to do most of it yourself or you have to get volunteers, and volunteers, guys, are doing it for free, you know, for the love of the game, that's hard in this economy. It is so hard to run. And so if somebody is running as a grassroots candidate, it means that they truly, truly want to do the work. So this is the best thing I think that has come out of all of this, which is hard, you know, to like try to find some silver lining. But to me, I feel like once we get grassroots candidates in office and we see that they are doing exactly what they said they were going to do, I just have so much trust and faith that after that, people are only going to want grassroots candidates in office. They're not going to want the,
It'll snowball.
I'm sorry, like the Bernie Sanders, the very wealthy white men who didn't work jobs and don't know what it's like to be an average everyday American citizen. But you guys do. And a lot of you are doing it every day while running for office. So, you know, that's something that everybody needs to start paying attention to and donating, please.
And please help us,
Yes.
right?
Please help
Right.
us.
And don't feel people be wild. 90% of people are wonderful, but a lot of people are like have a degree of entitlement to me and the candidate. You're just like, what is this? But just understand that we're working 10, 12, 14-hour days. Yep. If you don't get an email back in a few days or like a yard sign delivery falls through, please give us grace and don't be like, well, I'm never going to vote for you now. Most people do see and acknowledge it, that we are working really, really, really hard and that this is not glamorous and that this takes everything. And I'm just so grateful for the folks that see that and have come alongside my team to do this and support us and help us. And for every naysayer, there's 10 people that come. And, you know, tonight we had a veterans listening session and this man who, like, helped us coordinate it. He bought barbecue and brought it for the participants. He
awesome.
Helped, you know, secure the room at the place we were at. And there are people showing up in so many different ways. And if you're listening to this podcast, 100% donate to my campaign. Yes, that is your homework. Do it. Share my social media, share my website. If you have friends in Tennessee too, in East Tennessee, yes, tell them you got to be supporting this lady. Yes. Do all of that and find a local race that you can throw yourself behind. Even if it is 30 minutes a week doing that instead of doom scrolling Instagram. Democracy needs you. Our country needs you. And a lot of the races that are going to be determined this fall are going to be the same state houses that determine the congressional maps. Or that determine the budget for your county. Or the school boards that determine your child's curriculum and whether or not books are banned. If ever there was a time to get off the couch, it is now. And your local candidates are waiting for you. They're working really hard and they need you. They do. They need you.
Bad.
Yeah. So I agree. If you can't run for office, you need to volunteer some of your time, phone banking, donating if you have extra funds. But there's some way you can help. There, you know, sitting and doom scrolling, you could have been on the phone helping a grassroots candidate with phone banking. You could have been knocking some doors on the weekend.
Sharing their posts.
Yeah, sharing their posts.
Hit that repost.
Battling their trolls in the comments.
Yeah, making videos in support of them. Everybody has talents and things that they can bring to the table, even if it's not running for office yourself. And people need to start tapping into that because, like Michaela said, democracy needs all of us in order to stay alive. So let that be that. But we do have some funny ones, some funny questions. Say you had to do a scientific study, okay? You have to do it. Who would you rather conduct it with? RFK Jr. or Dawes?
Am I conducting the experiment on them and their mental models? I'm a scientist. Like I can design this.
Dissecting them.
If I'm studying them, probably
Oof.
RFK. If
I
I'm
was
doing
actually
the
gonna wanna
study
study
with
him.
them, it's got to be Dr. Oz. I mean,
Right.
he's not great, but there's no brainworm that I know of.
I
He's
know.
like a shill for like unregulated herbal supplements brought to us by Oprah. But
I feel like a lot of us would want to get in on a study done on RFK Jr., and I hope there are many studies done on him in the future.
or like we could just forget about him too. That'd be fine.
That's true. We could just who?
Would love to. Love
Right?
to. We do need to make Oprah pay for that, though.
Yeah, we do.
She's got a few things to answer for. I gotta say.
Yeah.
But
Oprah and George Bush need to pay
that's
for
right.
that.
But we got some bigger fish to fry right now. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. But yeah, I agree. Dr. Oz, if you had to actually join him on the study.
A lot of charlatans on us, but we gotta move. We gotta move beyond Oprah.
Oprah, we'll come back for you.
For sure. For sure. All right. We got a couple of people down in Tennessee, candidate-wise. So we do a little trip at Tennessee. What is your hidden gem in Tennessee? Where we going?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's a reason that so many people are moving to East Tennessee. It's because it's one of the most beautiful places in the country. It is really, really magical. And just one hidden gem, I think it's actually the Fort Dickerson Quarry in Knoxville, where I try and spend as much time there as I can in the summer. If you Google it, it's kind of unreal. We have this entire urban wilderness network in Knoxville where you can kind of take all the interconnected trails and bike and run. But Fort Dickerson Quarry is a little moment of sanity. I'm just gonna see if I can show you guys a picture of this. This is like 7 minutes from my house. Okay.
We're all gonna need a moment of sanity after all of this.
Haven't had one yet.
Tell it to you. And you're gonna just click on this suspiciously long Google link. And you'll see Fort Dickerson Quarry, which is just so beautiful.
Right,
ooh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
All right, I'll go there.
We'll go there.
Bike there from my house. Do a little swim. It's great.
We will do exercise. We will walk.
We can rent a floaty. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll rent a floaty. But yeah, I think that serenity is really on the to do after you win. Just a moment.
Serenity's on the ballot.
Serenity's on the ballot between November and when you get into office in January. I think we all deserve to just.
You're doing some cold plunges in the
cold plunge. You need it. We really do need to snap back to reality, get to work. But that's
Please.
Yeah. I mean, after we go to the Glorilla concert with Jerry Green, hopefully if she wins governor, then Glorilla can come and do a concert. Next day we'll go and sit in some peace and quiet.
Then we'll shoot guns with Victoria.
Yeah. Just that's the great part of Tennessee is
that's Tennessee, babe. That is Tennessee.
And that's Tennessee.
The duality.
Yep. Yes, that is Tennessee in a nutshell. But Michaela, before we outro out, we want to give you a chance to shameless plug your website and your social so everybody can go follow you and where they can donate some money to you.
My website is michaelafortennessee.com. My first name is spelled Michael with an A at the end, so that makes it easier. And then I always say it's the preposition, not the number. So MICHAELAFOR and then Tennessee written out. Actually, I should just make this so much easier. You can go to MB4, the number, TN.com, and that links to my website.
We'd love a redirect.
Yeah, so much redirects. We go on all those URLs, MB4TN.com. And my socials is on Instagram, we're Michaela B for Tennessee, and everywhere else, just I think Michaela for Tennessee.
Yay! So everybody can follow you. Like we said, guys, if you have some extra money to donate, please, it's all going to go right back to the community.
Well, and also, literally, if you can give $1 to different candidates, that sounds like the most ridiculous ask, but it shows that we have a groundswell of support behind us. We have small dollar donations and donors, and that signals to folks that are looking at viability and stuff. If you have more donors behind you, it means that you're supported. So literally $1. I mean, please give me more if you can. Like making payroll for my team
Right.
and buying fines.
Right.
But it is, and do it for everyone in your community too. Like, yeah, please support your local candidates. I mean, honestly, you don't have to donate to me if you've got a local candidate you like. Support them.
Support them. Well, we hope that if you're listening, you're somebody who is in the community, in the district, and that you do have some money to spend. And then last and the most important part of all of this, when is the primary? I know you don't have anybody running against you as of right now, but it's still important people show up and vote.
August 6th, and those are our local elections, and that's going to determine so much in Tennessee. So August 6th, we need a big blue wave. And then November 3rd, I hope you're all showing up for me.
Yes, November 3rd, I'm going to need to be sedated.
Oh my God.
Need to be sedated.
I literally thought, well, what am I going to do? I thought the other day, I was like, what am I going to do? And I was like, I'm not going to know what to do with my hands. Like, I think I'm just going to stand like this.
The 2024 elections, we actually held a screens-free game night. So I didn't find out until like the next morning. And I did that intentionally because I was like, I just want to have a fun night with my friends because I can't do it to control the outcome. And that was a good choice. As a candidate, I'm not going to be able to hide and play games with my friends. We'll have a big
come to my campaign watch party where we won't watch anything.
This might be my last night of fun. So.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're going to have to be like, it's going to be like men when there's fantasy football draft. I'm going to have like different screens going with all the results pouring in from all the districts. Like never once have I had to go look up, where Tennessee's
congressional district results. I know.
Either
and now you're refreshing that every 30 seconds.
Oh yeah. I'm going to have friends over with computers. I don't think, that's what I mean. But I'm going to have to be sedated because I don't think I'm going to be able to breathe. But I mean, and I'm hoping it's just going to blue everywhere. But people have to come out and vote. So yes, make sure you're voting in the primary. Make sure you're voting in the midterms. Make sure you're checking your voter registration now. Don't wait till the last minute. As we saw what's happening this week, they are not going to stop here. There's going to be shenanigans. So please make sure that you check your voter registration. And if all else fails, that you take a provisional ballot on primary day or on the midterms day, but do not walk out without voting. That's right. Your rights. And we're so excited. It seems like so far away, but also right around the corner. So
way too soon. It's way too soon. I have so much more to do, but that's
I know. So please, if you have any extra time available, please volunteer. Some of the best work that you can do, especially for grassroots candidates, whether that's phone banking, door knocking, helping put together stuff for social media, just whatever you can do to help. She wants to get to 2,000 volunteers by November 3rd. So I think that you guys can help.
That's doable.
I think that's doable. So all good things here. Thank you so much, Michaela. I know you're very, very busy, so thank you for joining us on the podcast. And next time we talk to you on here, we hope that it's right up at Capitol Hill.
All right. Put that
on the calendar.
Put it on the vision board. All right, y'all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.